Alright boys, welcome to the show. In this video I will cover my experiences last June 2025 in Belgrade. Belgrade is in Serbia, Serbia is in Eastern Europe. So 32 days of cold approach. Be sure to check out my similar video on my experiences in Barcelona last March called 32 days of cold approach in Barcelona. So the life lessons I learned and my experiences in Belgrade compared to my experiences and life lessons in Spain and Barcelona are completely different. This city, Belgrade, totally elevated the cold approach experience for me. So I was out on the street doing cold approach either alone or with Joseph, the wing bro, or with Ephraim from Pearl University. Like every day, okay? Like hitting it hard. I did way more approaches in total over 1 month in Serbia than I did in Spain for several reasons, which I will cover in this video. Alright, so no dating apps. I haven't used dating apps in over 2 years now. No alcohol. Why am I writing no alcohol? I don't drink. I don't use any sort of drugs. In case some people think if you know this behavior is just sober behavior, yes it is. But also I know there's a ton of men out there that religiously believe that in order to get women you need to go to parties and clubs, you need to get a couple of drinks in to get in the right state, in the right kind of mood or whatever it is, and then you'll finally be able to pull girls. This is not true at all. I'm not saying it's not possible, I'm just saying it's not a requirement. Absolutely not. So authentic daytime interactions, of course. Why authentic? Because this is not a pickup channel, okay? This is not about learning lines, being funny, nagging, pulling, DHV, DLV, or whatever. We don't do that stuff, okay? Maybe if you're mystery, that works, but I'm not mystery. For me, it's really about I like the girl, I go to the girl, I talk to her, just be normal, just be a normal heterosexual man, okay? A lot of what I'm about to tell you in this video will come down to just be a normal heterosexual man. Alright, next. So the starting point. I'm a Belgian guy, so I'm half French. My father's French. My mom was a Belgian woman. So I grew up in Belgium. My city specifically is Ghent, but the capital of Belgium, my country, is Brussels. Brussels is the center of the EU, the European Union. It's the center of Western Europe. Why am I telling you guys this? Because there are massive cultural differences between the West in Europe and Eastern Europe, all right? So for me, this was the first trip ever to Eastern Europe. Just the male-female dynamics are different. Dating culture is different. Social behavior is different. People look different. Women dress different. So roughly you could draw a line, let's say about here between, on the left, Western Europe, and then on the right, Eastern Europe, right? So, and I would argue that a lot of people in Western Europe like to think that they're very different from the United States and that they're better in some way. But in my opinion, we're actually quite similar. Okay, depends on your perspective, but Belgium and Germany and the Netherlands and the UK, we do have this little woke side going on. Men and women are equal, blah blah blah. That's that kind of story. And in that regard, I would say that the United States are you know, quite similar actually. So I just wanted to say that if you'd be flying from the US to Serbia, your experience is probably very similar in terms of cultural difference. Probably very similar to mine. So it looks like I already said most on this slide, but let me just go over this real quick. So 32 consecutive days. Why 32 days? Just because I happened to be there for 32 days. June 2025. No artificial aids, so no dating apps, no alcohol, no parties. Pure social skills, pure confidence, just normal behavior as men are supposed to behave. So daytime and nighttime public spaces. The streets, of course, as usual, the shopping streets, the shopping center, the biggest and best mall in Belgrade is Galleria Mall. Beautiful mall. Don't go there wearing a tank top or a wife beater, however you call it. Belgrade does have a some sort of a dress code, so you really want to dress up instead of dressing down. In my city, in Ghent, where I'm from, there's this casual, scruffy, I don't care attitude when it comes to your style and the way people present themselves and the grooming. I'm talking about men and women. That just doesn't exist in Belgrade. Okay, women, they have this classic, extremely elegant style. They take such good care of themselves. They really embrace their femininity. So the first time I was in the Galleria Mall, just wearing a tank top, I looked like a tourist. And if you look like a tourist, you're just gonna rule yourself out a lot quicker than if you wear like a dress shirt. You can get away with shorts, but I would recommend going for just a better, more classy style. It will just give you a lot better results. So authentic connections. This is not a pickup channel. Again, I just said it, but let me just say it again. This is not about lines, DHV, DLV, all that bullshit. Please. All right. So I'll just give you guys an overview of the 4 weeks I was there. So the first day, I missed my flight coming in. I arrived on Friday evening around midnight. So the next day was a Saturday. Met Joseph on the first day. We almost walked close to a marathon. 40 kilometers, okay, 25 miles, that's a lot. I did my very first approach in Galleria Mall. This is Galleria Mall, next to the river, beautiful place. And a funny thing about that first approach is something that happens quite a lot in Belgrade is you see a woman, you want to approach her, you go in for the approach, you stop her, and you make eye contact, and then you realize that that woman is actually a lot older than you thought. It happened several times. Women take such good care of them that sometimes you don't even notice that they're quote unquote MILF, right? You don't even see it till you're actually in a conversation with them. So I thought that woman would be like 25, 26, but she was like 40. She was there with her husband and her kids, but they were somewhere else in the mall at that time. So that's just funny. And so the first interactions, very surprising. The women have this sweet, innocent look in their eyes. They're super introverted. They don't give you a lot of feedback. They're very static during the approach, so they will stop. They're like enchanted by what's going on and they like it, but they're very shy and they're not, they don't talk that much. And in the beginning, it caught me by surprise over and over again. I was like, why are you not talking? Because clearly you're liking what's going on, but you're just not giving me that much. If you compare that to Barcelona and to Spain, women give you so much feedback. It's the interactions are so dynamic. There's flirty behavior, there is seduction, there is jokes. Girls will immediately ask you for your Instagram, your WhatsApp. It's so much easier to set up dates. The flake rate is way lower than in Belgrade. I was ghosted. I got ghosted so many times in Belgrade, you have no idea. So the first interactions were very surprising, very interesting. The energy of the social energy is just totally different. There's not that many tourists in Belgrade as well, so that makes a difference as well. You can clearly see that daytime cold approach is not part of their culture. Guys are not doing it. Apart from a rare few, like there was this weird Russian dude, and then there was a Bulgarian guy that was doing an excellent job, but it's not really a day to day thing. You really surprise the women when you talk to them during the day, and they of course they love it. But it was hard to make them stop as well. The stop is very difficult. Many times it just didn't stop, and then later on I learned that my Western European nice guy energy was just too nice, too polite, right? You want to you give them like 60% and you're waiting for the woman to give you 40% back, and then you kind of try to meet each other somewhere in the middle. But in Belgrade, you really have to do everything yourself. Joseph explained this very well, but yeah, Belgrade really taught me that you need to come in really strong, and you need to lead everything from the first interaction to the date to setting up the date. If somewhere along the process of cold approach to setting up the date and seduction and everything, so if somewhere along the cycle you make a mistake, you're out, you're done, you're finished. While in Barcelona, it's way more forgiving. And I would argue in part that's because of many of the women in Barcelona are Spanish and Latinas and African girls. But in Serbia, it's 90% of the women out there are just Serbian women, Serbian white girls. It's just totally different. So yeah, hyper self-awareness was non-existing. When I came into Barcelona, I was still thinking, oh, I'm talking to girls, you know, this inner dialogue, this self-awareness, this overthinking. I didn't have this, so I got rid of that in Barcelona, and then so I came in Belgrade with very advanced cold approach skills already, but then adding on top of that the difficulty level of Belgrade brought it, you know, to even higher levels and really fine-tuned everything. So if you can get great results in Belgrade, then you deserve a medal. I mean, you're doing a good job. It's very difficult. Basically, no one was getting good results apart from me, Joseph, Ephraim, and the Bulgarian guy, and then the people that trained with Ephraim and the people that trained with Joseph, of course. So yeah, the first week was getting used to the culture, trying to understand the social customs, coming in from Belgium to Belgrade. I really thought that Serbians were like these very tough, very difficult people, and that you know, you would get arrested in Belgrade for talking to women, that it would maybe be unacceptable. So I was a bit hesitant to actually run after a woman to approach her the first times, but you know, after week one, I just got rid of that feeling as well. And again, you just realize that these thoughts, these things you're saying to yourself, you're thinking, it's just 99% of it is imagined. It's perfectly safe to approach in Serbia. Okay, the first Serbian people I met in my life were actually in Serbia itself, so I didn't have any sort of reference experience for the culture or the people. All right, next. So the second week, yeah, so by week 2, we understood, Joseph and I, so this is before Ephraim came in. So the first 2 weeks, most of the work I did was together with Joseph, the wing bro. I did solo sessions as well when Joseph wasn't available because of work or other things. But what you realize in Belgrade is, okay, cold approach is a lot more difficult here than in Belgium or in Spain, in Barcelona, right? So why is it more difficult? And how can I improve my stop? How can I improve my conversation? How can I be better at setting up the date? How can I get better results during the date? And so on and so on. So not only was I doing solo sessions, I was doing a lot of sessions with Joseph, and we started doing a lot of 2 sets as well. And in between, we're constantly having these conversations together. Okay, how did it go? How can you improve? I just saw you doing this, but why aren't you trying this or that? So we're constantly giving each other feedback. So this is not just a trip with me doing 32 days of cold approach. This is a complete masterclass and basically a PhD in cold approach and opening conversations with beautiful women, where me and Ephraim and Joseph are constantly like working together to improve and doing two sets together and observing each other's interaction and getting feedback from two professional dating coaches and vice versa in all directions. So it's insane. And daytime and nighttime combined, in a very difficult environment. So it's super interesting. Just the amount and the value of all the information and the stuff I learned there is completely insane, completely off the charts. So yeah, the fastest way to 100x your results, and skill set is by doing this together. You need to do this together with guys that are better than you or just as good as you, right? If you're doing this with guys that don't really know what they're doing or they think they know what they're doing, it's never gonna work out. So social warming. So yeah, by week 2 I got rid of this idea that cold approach would not be socially acceptable in Serbia. My social state had changed, yeah. And yeah, so because it's so difficult, you want to do more approaches to get better results, because it's so difficult to set up a date and not be ghosted, and yeah, and get the results you really want, that you need to work a higher volume. You will do more approaches. While in Barcelona, I was basically so successful that, for example, in my last week, I would have an instant date and then later set up another date, but then cancel that date to set up another date, and then cancel that date again to set up another date, right? Look, like, oh, I like you, it works, but I like you more. But now I met a third girl that I like even more, and then you basically start canceling and ghosting girls because you have too many WhatsApps, and it's the follow-up is just too much work. It's not realistic. In Belgrade, you don't have this problem. It's hard to have that problem. So yeah, quality encounters. The women are top-notch quality. If you're looking for a wife, if you're looking for a girlfriend, Belgrade is definitely the place to be. Yeah, the dating culture is completely different. It's not a hookup culture like in Belgium or in Barcelona. In Barcelona, it's in part because of the massive amount of tourists. So you have, it creates this YOLO environment, right? Like, oh, I'm just here for the weekend, so I might as well bang this guy and then leave. That doesn't exist. And well, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in the same amount in Belgrade as in Barcelona. And then by the end of week 2, of course, Ephraim came in. All right, next. So week 3. Yeah, so social momentum, of course, is peaking, I would say, after, if you do cold approach every day, this is like a typical pattern, and it's similar to the pattern I had in Barcelona. So week 1 is basically getting used to the culture and the vibe, and you going out approaching every day. Week 2 is like your skill set and your results are like exponentially increasing. But then by week 3, you're like in this social god state. That's where you experience like the most seductive and the best approaches. So everything is natural, everything is effortless, it's just going so well. You start collecting numbers. Yeah, I did meet some women I really wanted to see again, but it just didn't happen because they were busy with exams. They had a lot of people left to go on trips. So a lot of people from Serbia, they go on their summer holidays to Montenegro or vice versa. Yeah, there was a political revolution. There were a lot of protests in the city. Girls leaving for family commitments. Yeah, even in cities where there's not that many tourists, you still have girls just disappearing because, oh, I have exams, oh, I have to go to my family, oh, I have to go on my trip to Montenegro, blah blah blah. So there will always be women that you meet and then disappear despite the approach being so good. So yeah, number overflow. At some point, managing WhatsApp numbers, it just becomes very difficult. Me personally, I wasn't there to just date a bunch of girls. I was really there for the social experience and to increase my skill set in daytime cold approach. So did I go on dates? Yes. Was I aiming to go on the most amount of dates, like the highest amount of dates, and sleep with the most women? No. Why? Because at this point in my life, I just don't care about it. I have other things to do. I'd rather sit inside, do the work, film infields, edit the infields, create content, edit the content, all that stuff, work on the business, work on jobs and everything around it, than just go on dates all the time. I don't really care about it. In fact, I canceled multiple dates because it just didn't feel like going out on a date because maybe I didn't like the girl enough. Maybe I just felt like doing something else. But that's just me, of course. So yeah, number overflow. You have to be careful at some point if you're collecting a lot of WhatsApps and Instagrams. Managing all these leads becomes quite difficult. There are several things you can do to improve this. You can record voice notes right after the approach, so you remember how it went, so you can use it as like memos to then later on text the girls if you're on a session. But I personally am not really strong with follow-up because I don't care, as I just explained. But I can definitely help you out with that. There's several things you can do. Yeah, and dating feels different. So if you're going on a date with a girl, you can really feel that you're being vetted for a potential boyfriend or a husband. It just feels different. It's not a YOLO touristy let's get late tonight vibe. It's really not. It is possible, okay, but that's overall it feels totally different. So yes, I did have coffee dates. You will have first dates and then no follow-up dates as well, which basically means that the girl is not seeing you as a potential relationship partner anymore. So if you get a first date, in a way it's a great compliment because it means she's considering you as a serious option. If there's no follow-up date, it just means yeah, probably you're not a match. That's probably what it means. If you're doing most things right, you could also be messing up the date, but I didn't mess up any date in Belgrade. If I had an interesting first date and then no follow-up date, for me at this point in life, it just means that she decided we're not a match for a relationship, and therefore she decided not to see me again. All right, next. So week 4, yeah, social god mode, peak social fluency. So cold approach becomes so effortless. I was way more assertive at that point. My stop was on point. I was so good at objection handling, but also I reached a point of approach fatigue because you're doing so many reps and so many approaches. At some point, it just becomes less personal, and you kind of start losing, not momentum, but you start losing conviction and authenticity to some point. And you can see this in a lot of the infields of me in Belgrade. So have a look at the infields. You can see this, that some of these girls, they ask me for Instagram. I think there's at least 3 examples of girls asking me for my number around the end of the approach instead of me asking them, because I don't even bother. I don't even care. I'm just, okay, I'm here with Ephraim, I'm doing a filming session, let me create the content. I'm not interested in dating you whatsoever. I'm just performing the approach for the camera, right? So yeah, effortless approaching was going really well, but I wasn't even thinking about dating anymore in week 4. Yeah, confidence became my default state. Yeah. So at some point, yeah, if you're doing so many approaches, you warm up a lot faster. So momentum, social momentum, and approaching momentum, if that's what you want to call it, you build it up over time, over the amount of approaches per day, but also the amount of days and weeks. So usually around week 3 you have your best week. After week 2 going into week 3, the best week. But then at some point you start feeling like, dude, I need a break, I need to do something else. I have other stuff to do. So yeah, if you plan immersions for yourself, then just be aware that cold approach is an awesome thing to do, but do it in groups. Don't do this alone, because it will just get boring, and you will reach this approach fatigue at some point. Life's not only about talking to women, right? But yeah, this was just like a master class, a PhD in seduction, women, and cold approach, and making conversations. So that's why I was doing it. But you start to think about lifestyle, about efforts. Like what you start thinking when you're doing so many approach and talking to so many women is, okay, how am I going to use my time in the most efficient way? What can I do to improve my life, right? So yeah, and you start canceling dates. That's what I did. I start canceling dates. I didn't want to date anymore. I wasn't interested anymore. Decision making. Yeah, exactly. So what better problem to have than to cancel dates because you want to edit videos or create more content, right? If you compare this to the problems I had years ago. That's what daytime cold approach will do to you, really. That's what it will do. That's the only dating problem a man should have in his life is, who am I gonna choose? Like, do I really want this girl or not? That's how you should be thinking, and that's the only way to get there is through daytime cold approach. Instead of, oh, when can I text her, right? Or is my match on Tinder didn't answer me, or oh, she didn't text me after the first date. When you're in this mindset, who gives a fuck? Okay, who gives a fuck? You only should be dating top-notch, top 1% girls that are blowing your mind, and that are texting you and giving you feedback and making it easy for you to date them again. All these other kind of problems, like thinking about text game and when to text her and all that stuff, it just becomes redundant and a waste of time. But you can never really understand and feel this and experience this if you don't have the skill of daytime cold approach. All right, create efficiency. Yeah. So at some point when you're collecting a lot of WhatsApps and Instagrams, you have to be careful about your follow-up, because definitely in Belgrade, the women, they feel it. If you're not giving them your full attention, they'll just leave you. They can feel it if you're a playboy, or if you're not attentive enough. So yeah, if you're not fast enough with reaching out to her, or playing it cool by being non-available or waiting on purpose to text her, or some of that bullshit, you'll lose the girl. They know this. It doesn't work like that, like, play it cool, be non-needy, don't text her for 3 days, be the cool guy, blah blah blah. No, forget about it. That's bullshit. Okay, doesn't work in Belgrade and Serbia. So yeah, Belgrade as an advanced training ground, because that's what it is. This country, this culture made me think a lot about how pussified the West is, how much I've been conditioned my entire life to be a nice guy, be a good boy, ask for permission for everything, be sure to be respectful to women. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be respectful to women, I'm just saying that yeah, in Belgrade you have to lead everything, you have to push it, and women love it as well. But being a Westerner, it's first you need to get to the point where you realize this and understand this, and there is no other way to fully feel this and experience this than to fly to an Eastern European country, for example, and really experience this yourself firsthand. But man, the man in the West are so pussified. You have no idea. You're already aware of this, but just book a ticket and fly to Belgrade. Okay, I can promise you this will be a shock to you. So you have to be the leader in Serbia. Um, you have to. You can push it a lot further than you think right now. You can do so much more than you think. So yeah, the dating culture is serious, committed, no bullshit. People don't have this facade. They don't wear masks, so to speak. They're very straightforward. I would say most of the women, actually all the girls I dated, all of their parents were still together. So the divorce rate is very low compared to my country, Belgium. There's no hookup culture, right? So ideal public spaces, just yeah, the point here is that the structure of the city, the layout, the logistics of the city are very amenable to daytime cold approach and talking to people in public. Coffee shops, nice rooftop bars, nice malls, all that stuff. Great dating options everywhere. So yeah, the inner voice silenced completely. It was already the case in Barcelona, but yeah, it was even more destroyed in Belgrade. So higher assertiveness, very important point. The importance of the stop was re-established. You can see this in some of the infields as well, where the girl almost doesn't stop, but you have to make her stop. I haven't released all the infields yet. There's a lot more infields coming up from Belgrade. There's some cool infields, but there's already some out there. You can check it out, where the girl like is thinking about stopping, but you have to be so persistent, and you need to have a strong attitude coming in. If you make a mistake, you're out. That's it. That's why Belgrade is such a great training ground. So yeah, body language. Yeah, of course. You start reading body language so well because of daytime cold approach. Yeah, and then the main thing I was thinking about when I flew back to the West was like, damn, the Matrix really got me, right? My entire life, I've been pussified by my local culture. Like, men are not really men in the West anymore. It's just a fact. It's insane, but that'll be a subject for a different video, right? So yeah, maybe some metrics. These are just estimates, but I did a ton more approaches in Belgrade than in Barcelona. So at least 4 approaches per day on my my big sessions and the filming sessions with Ephraim. About 16 approaches on one day. And the fun thing about Belgrade, and I already said this, is that you can just approach basically from morning till like 12 midnight, 1 a.m. in the exact same style, with the same energy, with the same framework as you would during the day. So in Barcelona, there's a clear difference between night and day. And you have the day game and then the night game, and there's a different kind of energy on the streets. You don't have this in Belgrade, which I personally really love. Yeah, lower conversation success rate than in Barcelona, because it's just more difficult, because you need to carry the entire conversation. You have to do everything yourself. If you're not making conversation, chances are it will just die out. That's just because the girls are not very responsive, and which doesn't mean they don't like you. It's just they're just very static. Their energy is more cold than a Latino or an African girl. That's just the best way to say it. Yeah. And then of course, coming back to Belgium, I cold approached a Russian woman here in the city center, and that was a great example of how my skill set that I had improved in Belgrade became very useful coming back here as well. because that woman almost didn't stop, but I made her stop, and that's because I fine-tuned my skills in Belgrade. So yeah, you will experience a lot of ghosting in Belgrade. You can. It's kind of normal if you don't get a second date or follow-up date. Girls will just stop responding, stop texting you. I had several approaches that were like excellent, like fucking incredibly good approaches, and then the girl ghosts you. That was just weird. It happened so many times. Maybe because I'm a tourist, maybe, you know, several reasons. Maybe because I'm too seductive, as Joseph said, that my energy coming in was so strong that they were like, whoa, this is not normal. What the hell is this? Something fishy about this guy. So yeah, the conclusions: don't do this alone. Okay, this is not the first time I'm saying this, but don't do cold approach alone. Why? It's boring. It's not as much fun. You will not get the feedback. You don't have the accountability. It's just not healthy. Okay, a lone wolf is a dead wolf. It's a group activity, productivity. Yeah, social life, time consumption. Yeah. Why spend so much time on learning or trying cold approach if you can just fast track your skill set, your results and everything by doing this in a group? I mean, it's not even that much fun alone. So yeah, cold approach is good for friendships, for your family relationships, for just your overall well-being. There's no reason to not learn daytime cold approach apart from you being an idiot. That's just it. Yeah, the importance of leaving your home environment. Yeah, experience new cultures. Get out there. Stop believing that it's okay to stay in your own city and your own country your entire life. It's not true, okay? And then, yeah, quality plus quantity. Most women aren't matches. Exactly. I'm at a point in life where within 1 minute, within 30 seconds, I already know if a woman is a match for me or not. It's like I'm scanning her while I'm making eye contact, and I already know if I want to date her or not. That's why I don't even ask for contacts on many of the infields you saw or you're about to see for me approaching and doing sessions in Belgrade. That's why, because I don't want to, because it's just a rep for the rep. It's a social experience. So you'll have to do a lot more quantity in Belgrade than in Barcelona in order to get a date, in order to get laid and everything. It's just more difficult, but the quality is incredible. The juice is worth the squeeze. If you're looking for a wife, consider Belgrade, okay? So yeah, how to start with daytime cold approach. I did start alone here in Ghent. It's a small city. We're at about 220,000 people. But I did get help from Mr. Christian Casanova here, of course. Guy's absolutely fucking incredible. Now we have Ephraim from Pull University, who became pro in Belgrade, actually. He had his first coaching clients there. And then we have Joseph the Wing Bro as well. So find like-minded people. This is not a solo game, okay? Stop doing this alone. Seek like-minded guys. Invest in male friends first, basically. That's it. If you don't have it, if you don't have guys that are willing to do this, then invest in a coach and a mentor. That's what I had to do, because I was the only guy in my city I knew that was serious about actually doing this and getting results. Most guys are just too pussified, they're too scared, they're too immature, they're too stupid and ignorant and stubborn, and they refuse to do this. So yeah, change your environment, change cultures, travel, go on solo trips. Solo travel is the fastest way to improve your social skills and your mindset. Get feedback from from a coach. You need to get coached. You need to get trained. Just if you want, you can do this with me. All right, click the link below. Book a call with me. We can figure out if I can help you. This is not for everyone. This is actually, to be honest, not for most of the guys out there. But if you're serious about this, if you're a mature guy that's, you know, ready to receive feedback and to improve his life, then yeah, click the link below. Book a call with me, and worst case scenario, we'll just talk for 30 minutes. And yeah, and you'll still get some value out of that. But we can pick a place, we can pick a time. I would not recommend Belgrade to learn daytime call approach. It's not very rewarding. We can still go to Barcelona or Krakow, for example. We can even go to London in 2025. So I think that covers almost everything. Yeah, that was the last slide. Shortcut your learning curve significantly. Exactly. Stop wasting time. This is not a luxury product, daytime call approach. If you're a heterosexual man, this is a priority in your life because it will clear up mental bandwidth and mental space for you to focus on other things that are equally important, like your business, like your physical health, like your family relationships, like all other aspects of your personal development, right? If you're constantly overthinking women, and if this is a stressful thing, it's an actual real problem, and you can't move on with the rest of your life. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Just fix it, okay? That's the most incredible thing about 2025 is you have YouTube, you have call approach coaches, you have guys that can teach you this. I mean, 20 years ago or 50 years ago, that stuff didn't exist.